Of all the years that we have been recording sound advice with audiologist Doug Leonard from ASI, Audiological Services of Iowa, I don't think we've ever talked about this topic that we're going to today. What to do with used hearing aids. Doug, it's an interesting topic. I'm shocked we've not really ever talked about it before.
Well, I'm going to do the new topic dance here in the studio, maybe. But, it's a great topic because it comes up in my office quite regularly. Unfortunately, of course, a lot of my patients are senior citizens or in the older category, and, sometimes they will get hearing aids and pass away, in a year or two or three or four down the road. And, the family thinks, well, these are hearing aids that, number one, mom or dad paid a lot of money for. And so they think, there's certainly some value there, and they don't want them to go to waste. And so a great way for folks, if they're dealing with that situation, they come upon some hearing aids from a loved one, is to donate them to the Lions Club. The local Lions Clubs in most towns have collection points. Now, people have heard, I think, a lot of the Lions Club collecting glasses. They do collect hearing aids, too. For example, in Atlantic, I know our Fairway has a collection box. When you're walking out of Fairway in Atlantic, Iowa, there's a little box that says Lions Club, and it says hearing aids and glasses. And so if folks have used hearing aids, they can donate those. What the Lions Club then in turn does is they collect those. There's a person that's in charge of that for the state of Iowa, and she collects all the hearing aids, catalogs them, and then if someone applies to the Lions Club to get help for hearing aids and they qualify, then their local audiologist can reach out, find what hearing aids are available, and they can be fit with those hearing aids.
Yeah, so if you do have a used pair of hearing aids that are generally less than 5 years old, we should probably mention that part about it because it's not because they may not work anymore, but you can't really work with the programming of those.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it'd be like having a computer that was 10 years old. Dad got this computer, he only used it for 3 months, and he passed away. Yeah, but it's still a 10-year-old or a 12 or 15-year-old computer. In a similar sense, hearing aid manufacturers will change their software after a certain length of time. So, if the hearing aids are 5 years old or younger, in general, that's something that we can work with. And it also depends on manufacturers. There are manufacturers that I work with, and then there are manufacturers that I don't. So, that's when we go through the Lions Club. I try to find somebody who has hearing aids or a brand of hearing aids that I'm familiar with that have the software to program and the supplies to refit on that patient, too. The other thing that we can do with used hearing aids, and I want to preface this as well, John, is talking about these are over-the-ear hearing aids. If they're molded in-the-ear custom hearing aids, you can donate those to the Lions Club, but they're not going to be able to be refit on someone. What the Lions Club will do is they work with some hearing aid manufacturers, and if they need to send any of those hearing aids that they've received in for repair, the over-the-ear kind, they can get credit for that on their account. So they can be useful, so donate those custom hearing aids to the Lions Club as well. But another thing that we can do, John, is we could refit those. If I had a patient who got hearing aids and unfortunately passed away, and maybe their spouse is starting to have some hearing trouble, we can refit those hearing aids if they're over-the-ear kind.
So again, talk to ASI, Audiological Services of Iowa. What is the number here, Doug?
Yeah, it's 792-5933. And folks, if they have hearing aids and they can't find a place to donate them, I go to meetings every year with the Iowa Hearing Association, and there are representatives from the Lions Club there, and I can donate those hearing aids for them.
Very simple. Once again, talk to the great folks with Audiological Services of Iowa.